Today we will talk about the 4 layers of reality. First, I will give some examples, then we will identify these layers. First group of examples when we look at the things as a earth humans. Second example when we add it to the dark side. And third example looking at the things as a starseed. So let's say this teacup, and let's say I'm in a store, I saw this one and I said, oh, this is a beautiful cup, beautiful colors, flowers, I like it. Let's say someone else saw this one and said that, oh, I didn't like it, it's too small for me. So what happened is, like there is a bubble around me, we can think this way, and this is my reality, and that person also has a bubble and this is his reality. So in my reality, I like this one, I'm looking at the same thing and with him, but he said that he didn't like it. So for the same thing, two different reality, and we didn't affect each other. Let's say another example. I actually, that's from the real life. I was working in a company, and in some point I left the company, moved to another state. So the company finds someone else to replace me, and then they made him manager, and now he is a very high level manager. And of course he's very smart and works like really very hard, but so the example is, I didn't know him, he didn't know me, I made a decision in my reality and it's affected his reality. So that is, also he has his own bubble. Another example, let's say there is a snowstorm and then two people outside and then trying to go to their home. So they both will be affected from snowstorm, but they are not affecting each other. They are independent, just like the teacup example. The fourth example, let's say two people, but they love each other, like they really love each other. So they still have their own bubble and own reality, but they affect each other. So those bubbles even not like really independent, it's at some point they are even crossing like each other. If we give another example, like more dramatic example, let's say a president declare a war. So he changes his reality, his bubble, but he changes also many other people's lives. Many bubbles are affected, but not just the humans. Let's say there's a big city, there's so many like landmark buildings and bridges, a million people know them, use them, so they will be affected too. A building, for example, it has its own bubble, own reality. So let's say it's bombed and it's collapsed, so that building's reality affected is changed, but every person that know that building will be also emotionally affected, so it affects other bubbles too. Every bubble is actually a part of this common reality, and they are affecting and affected by. But let's say there are so many things that we do, it's really not known for so many people, very little effect for anything, or if there is anything. But for example, a famous person died in that war, so that is more part of the common reality, but average Joe that nobody really knows, it's not gonna have that much big effect on the common reality. This one is, we can call it as a second layer reality. Then the third layer reality is all these bubbles are in common reality. And then the first layer I will come back later. So this is as a simple earth human how sees the things and how the things works in 3D world. So second type of example, we will add the dark side. So let's say I close my eyes and I said that I don't see the sun, so sun is not existed. This is correct information for my reality, right? For my bubble. So if other people do that, 10, 20, 1 million people close their eyes, there's no sun in their own reality. But that doesn't mean that the sun is not existed. So the sun is existed because that is in the third layer of reality, which is the common reality. So all these bubbles are in common reality. So all the bubbles means, everybody and all the animals and plants, furniture, goods, whatever we can think about it. Everything has their own reality, but those bubbles also in an environment that is the commonplace. So let's talk about the dark side. And I'm not talking about the reptilians, I'm talking about the real dark side. So first of all, as we talked about it before, they are part of the design. They are part of this duality experiment. So first of all, they are here, although most of them will leave, but there will be still some. So the dark side, it's not gonna disappear because the duality experiment didn't finish. So they will be part of the common reality. So if someone says that, like, I wanna, raise my vibration, I wanna, don't want anything toxic in my life, all the bad things, and just they're trying to isolate themselves. So what they do is, in their own bubbles, they stay away from the dark side. And maybe not just one person, of course, many bubbles are doing it, but that is in their own reality, in this second layer of reality. In the common reality, the dark side is still there. We can think about atoms like our organs. They do their own things, they know what to do and how to do. They affect us, but we don't tell them their job. So they are in their own reality. That is the first layer. So the fourth layer of the reality is above the third dimension, the higher dimensions. but not everybody can access to there. So here is an example why. For example, we are reading a book and it says little girl is crying because she lost her teddy bear. So when we read it, we understand the meaning and we just go to the next sentence and next sentence. And when we look at the book or the tablet, we see two-dimensional letters, or depends on the language, some symbols. So this is how it is in 3D, as we know. When we read this book in higher dimension, it's a richer environment. So it's when we read it, we will feel it, but feeling is like being 4 years old little girl. So when she says, she was crying, we will be crying, and then feeling how a 4 years old girl thinks, feels, and what she does when she loses her teddy bear and try to find it. What are the emotions? So we will feel everything. Regarding the visual, there will be the third dimension, and that will be the feeling. So how it looks like is, let's say the letter size is this. This much diameter, this. So let's think about like a tube, transparent tube, and the diameter of the letters, and cut half, as vertical. So let's say this is the letter, let's say this is the word. This is like my hand is a word, let's say. It is top of it, like a half, tube all the way for the word. And this is transparent. So that is where the feelings, the third dimension, is stored. So as soon as we look at the words, these feelings will be activated and then we will feel it. So this sentence was a simple one, but let's say, as you know, in 3D world, there are books like about the like horror, the novels, the scary book, something. So I mean, I don't watch those kind of movies, so I never read those books, so I don't know how much details they give, but probably like, let's say, murderer is, murdering someone, maybe there's some, all those details. So if someone in higher dimension reading that book with feeling that feelings, you can imagine the trauma and everything. So it's just it's not gonna happen. So so that's the reason why this planet is not ready for everybody to bring the consciousness higher, and then like a higher reality, and then looking down, because all this toxic, all these bad things, cannot, it will be just richer and then more intense, that it's already bad. That's just not everybody can, we just cannot handle it. It's just not gonna happen. But regarding the starseeds, or maybe the earth humans, but they are very wise, very old ones, So we have the access to higher dimensions because we came from there. So we're of course talking about the much closer to the 3D world dimensions, and then when we go up and up, like really, really very, very high, and then in some point, uh, it's like pretty much it's all empty, just a little bit something that really not recognizable for the 3D world or desirable. Um, but mostly some hearing like frequency, and that is not like a song or a nice melody, not even like a white sound. It's just some frequency. I'm sure that's, you know, people can call it like very annoying. um, but anything above the 3D dimension is that the fourth level of reality. They are, you know, of course, they're all different, but that's how it is. So the star seeds, we already came from higher dimensions, and depends on, of course, how much we discovered ourselves. We have direct access to the higher dimensions, so we have more variety for the reality. So this is our difference between Earth humans and then us. Sometimes we even like experience multiple realities from above the 3D in the same time. Sometimes we disconnect ourselves from the 3D and then just experience that reality. Sometimes we disconnect ourselves from the 3D world. It doesn't mean that we disappear from here. It means it's kind of like turn off the lights and be in the dark room. And so that's like in the 3D still, but not using anything from there, kind of thing, and then just move on to the higher dimensions. But sometimes they're just, you know, like overlay with each other. So for today, this much, and see you for next time. Bye bye for now.